Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Future of Fallout the TV series on Amazon Prime. This is part 3, and we're going to be going over Mr. House and the three families of New Vegas, and we're going to start with the White Glove Society. The origin of the White Glove Society is somewhat hidden, thanks in part to a contract held between Mr. House and the society's members. It is assumed that they were vault dwellers at one point prior to meeting House, vicious cannibals who lived below ground feasting on unsuspecting passersby. When House began reaching out to nearby tribes to help rebuild New Vegas, they agreed not to be cannibals in exchange for House keeping their former name a secret. The White Glove Society operates the Ultralux Casino, the most elite casino on the Strip. The staff and family members are all well-spoken, well-behaved, and well-dressed, opting to wear elegant dresses and suits, accented with a dress cane and masks. They are notoriously difficult to join, requiring a notable member's sponsorship. Its members include Marjorie, the leader, Mortimer, her right-hand man, and hotel maitre d', Philippe, head chef of the casino restaurant The Gourmand, and Chauncey. When the courier arrives at the Ultralux, we find out through Chauncey that Philippe and Mortimer have fallen back into their cannibalistic ways, kidnapping people from their rooms in the hotel in the middle of the night and eating them. One such high-profile kidnapping is Ted Gunderson, son of Brahmin Baron Heck Gunderson. Unfortunately for Mortimer and Philippe, Heck Gunderson is known to be very brutal and unforgiving. Even more unfortunate for Mortimer and Philippe, Ted was not even meant to be the original target. However, Chauncey becomes an informant, snitching on Philippe and Mortimer, and being set up to meet the same fate as those who want to expose Mortimer's cannibalistic ways. The courier can decide how to proceed: give Ted back to his father, lying about the kidnappers, and provide a substitute for Mortimer's meal. Let Ted go and expose Mortimer, but convince Heck to continue supplying the Strip, or kill Ted and frame Heck for his murder in order to keep beef prices high so that they may continue selling their beef at a premium price. When House discovers the White Glove Society are slipping into their old ways, he tells the courier to deal with it how they see fit. When the courier accuses the society and Marjorie of cannibalism, she is disgusted, claiming cannibalism is savage and refusing to tolerate it. Due to the contract that they have with Mr. House, we don't know that much more about the White Glove Society, so we're going to move on to our second family, the Omertas. The Omertas have a bit more history to them, originally being known as the Slitherkin. Prior to meeting House, they would kidnap, drug, and then either murder or enslave unsuspecting travelers. This reminded House of Old World Vegas, and he provided them clothes, telling them stories of mobsters, as well as their theatrics, letting the Omertas help him build back the Strip to its former glory. The word omerta is a southern Italian code of silence, honor, and non-cooperation with authorities, usually associated with the mafia. The Omertas run the Gomorrah Casino, using it as a location to run prostitution rings, scams, extortion, and drugs. These scams include providing cabs to addicts, then charging them when they become hooked, as well as providing cash advances and brutally following up on missed payments. The group has one rule: never betray the family. They value each other over anything, with the only equal being caps. They have a few notable members, including leaders Nero and Big Sal, Caccino, and a few prostitutes and vendors. The family only cares about protecting and improving upon their power, choosing to secretly side with Caesar's Legion to take over the Strip during the Second Battle of Hoover Dam while House is distracted. They hate the NCR. Despite their troops being their best customers, they disagree with their laws and taxation, seeing it as a hindrance to their business should they help them annex the Mojave. Now that we've talked about some 1940s gangsters, let's go ahead and get into the most important family, the Chairmen. The Chairmen are the final of the three families and arguably the most important. They began as a nomadic tribe called the Mojave Boot Riders, led by a man named Bingo. In 2274, while House was optioning the Strip to various tribes, his Securitrons came upon the Boot Riders. He offered them food, clothing, and the Tops Casino. Bingo refused, wanting to keep the tribe's nomadic lifestyle. One member, however, named Benny, wanted to accept the offer. The debate was settled in a knife fight, resulting in Benny's victory. A few days later, House's Securitrons returned with the promised clothes, telling them they were now known as the Chairmen. The Tops Casino was renovated to fit a classic, cool Vegas style. From hotel rooms to the Aces Theater and of course a casino, they offer a luxurious life without worry. Benny brought with him former boot rider Swank and the Sinner. Swank loved the new life, along with Benny, but the Sinner was clinging on to the old ways. Benny ordered Swank to dose him with a spiked version of Psycho around 2280 or 2281, killing him in the process. The Chairmen are a uniquely all-male group, with no women even optionally allowed to add to their tribe. The only exception to this would be if the player character is a female. The courier also has the unique option of bringing entertainers to the tops to join the chairman and perform at the Aces Theater. Benny is smart, and he is also the right-hand man to Mr. House. House saw him as his protege until Benny took something that didn't belong to him. Remember that bastard who shot Courier 6 in the head and stole their package, leaving them to die in Goodsprings? That was Benny. Benny and a group of Great Khans ambushed Courier 6, stealing the Platinum chip intended for delivery to House. The chip is a high-density data storage device and upgrade House wanted for himself and his Securitrons. Benny took it with the intention of using it to create a free Vegas. No Legion, no NCR, and no House. Benny was able to find the chip by hacking into and interrogating House's main Securitron, Yes Man, and turning him over to Benny's side as a secret agent. After his betrayal, House asks you to replace Benny as his protege. Benny ends up escaping, if not killed right away, and ending up captured by the Legion. If Benny escapes to the fort, he is then executed by the Legion, or, if released, never seen again. These, of course, are the options that you would get if you decide to go against Benny and not take his option of a free Vegas ending. Benny's route is an ending for the game Fallout New Vegas, resulting in an independent Vegas after the defeat of House, the NCR, and the Legion at the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. Now, finally, it's time to talk about the King of the Strip, ruler of New Vegas, and the man of the hour, Robert House. Robert Edwin House was born a few years ago, on June 25th, 2020, growing up in Las Vegas, Nevada. His parents passed away from an accident in 2022, and his older half-brother Anthony used this opportunity to seize the family's assets, cutting out Robert. The largest of these was their father's company, H&H Tools. Anthony was obviously unwell, making big policy changes to the company, such as installing heavy turrets, requiring employees to submit monthly DNA samples in the form of hair, skin, blood, or fingernails, walling off the bathrooms, requiring all business to be done in English, banning employees from making eye contact with him to prevent them from stealing his thought energy, and controlling who they interact with on a daily basis. Anthony would continue to spiral over the next 50 years, entrusting his head of HR, Cindy Lou, with helping him protect the company and his thoughts. This would culminate in him killing everyone, including himself, on June 19th, 2077. Robert was smart, however, as he would eventually attend the Commonwealth Institute of Technology at the age of 22 and found Robco Industries. Within 7 years, it became one of the most successful businesses in the world, being worth $30 billion by 2048. Over the next 30 years, Robco Industries would become the technological standard for everything from terminals and mainframes to militaristic enforcers, such as the iBot, Protectron, and SentryBot. Robco had the image of an aggressive and sinister megacorporation, engaging in a hostile takeover of Repcon Aerospace in 2076. In order to appear more friendly and less threatening, Robco would then invest in a joint venture with competitor General Atomics to display their robotics at an exhibit in the Museum of Technology in DC. They would continue this form of community outreach by working with Nuka-Cola to have an attraction, the Robco Battle Zone, at the amusement park Nuka World. Their collaboration with General Atomics would continue in 2072 with the announcement by the United States General Constantine Chase of the creation of Liberty Prime. This was a giant military robot built to help in the Sino-American War on the Anchorage Front. After his brother's passing, House would absorb H&H Tools into his company, with the exception of the building's HQ. They also would obtain Abraxadine Chemical, providing households with their most common detergent, Abraxo Cleaner. Perhaps the largest impact Robco had on the world was their partnership with Vault-Tec. Robco would go on to create the Pip-Boy, used by Vault-Tec employees and Vault dwellers to access information. They even contributed to the building of the vaults, most notably Vault 79 in Appalachia, an undercover government facility being used to house the U.S. gold reserves. House would use his immense wealth to obtain properties in his home of Las Vegas, such as the Lucky 38 Hotel and Casino and the Las Vegas Boulevard, eventually the home of the New Vegas Strip. House was very intelligent. He constantly ran equations and simulations on the socioeconomic and global political conditions to predict future events. In 2065, he predicted the world would be engulfed in nuclear war by 2080. His equations would prove true during a secret meeting with Vault-Tec to prepare investments for the vaults. He knew he couldn't save the world, but all he cared about was Vegas. He spent the next decade preparing. He had the bombs predicted to go off on October 24th, 2077. One of the major preparations he did was in 2070 when he approved another joint venture with Arcus Pharmaceuticals to research a deep sleep project, including astronauts, to help with deep space travel, and use this relationship to set up a life support device connecting his consciousness to a computer network while keeping his body safe so he could run Vegas from underground after the bombs had fallen. Other preparations included shielding his beloved Vegas from atomic bombs, using sentries and shields, but House's equations did not account for Chinese hostility as the bombs fell 20 hours too early on October 23, 2077. Luckily, House was mostly prepared. 77 warheads targeted Las Vegas. 59 were disabled by House's mainframe. Laser cannons atop the Lucky 38 destroyed 9 more, leaving Vegas and its surrounding areas to suffer 9 nuclear explosions. The one piece House was missing to have complete safety for the Strip and Hoover Dam was his platinum chip, which became buried at its processing plant in Sunnyvale, resulting in House contracting the couriers to deliver it for him, forming the plot for Fallout New Vegas. The sheer power required by his network to stop these nuclear explosions caused it to shut down, putting House in a coma. In 2138, he would awake. Biding his time until 2274, House would emerge ready to rebuild his home. He sent out Securitrons to scour the Mojave, recruiting the groups that have eventually become known as the Three Families and pushing away others, either to Freeside or farther away. He would then send his Securitrons to Hoover Dam to meet the NCR, signing the New Vegas Treaty. Then he would spend the next 7 years spending over $800,000 in 2281 alone to find and deliver the platinum chip. After Benny assaulted Courier 6 and took the chip, House learned through Victor of their survival. The result was an invitation by House to the Lucky 38 in hopes of leveraging the Courier's revenge so that he may finally obtain the platinum chip after 200 years. House's fate is determined by who the Courier sides with for the Second Battle of Hoover Dam. You can either side with him, allowing him to take back the dam and push the NCR and Legion out of New Vegas, or side against him with either another faction or an independent New Vegas. Which would you choose? House didn't see much screen time in the first season, and we only saw him pre-war briefly in the secret meeting with Voltec. So he is known to be the main antagonist for the second season, and we've got some glimpses of him pre-war and post-war with his computer system in Vegas. And that is the history of the Three Families and Robert House. Thank you so much for watching. I know that this series was very long, but I hope that you feel well prepared going into the second season, knowing all this stuff about all these factions and vaults. Please, if you played Fallout New Vegas, comment below which ending you went with. I hope you're as excited about Season 2 of Amazon Prime's Fallout the TV series as I am, and stay tuned because there's going to be more Fallout content coming with Season 2's episodes. We're going to be going over all the Easter eggs again like we did with Season 1, and we'll see you in the wastes.